Great coffee. Are you serious? Great coffee. Are you serious? Well, let me say this right now. I believe that Angela Merkel should resign as Chancellor of Germany. But she is under a ton of pressure after the New Year's Eve sexual assault scandal where 1,000 men get off a train and start sexually assaulting and groping and even raping some of the women on the streets of Cologne, Germany, in front of a church. These 1,000 Muslim men that did this, not only there, but in 6 or 7 cities across Germany and other parts of Europe. This was a calculated effort. This was not a spontaneous reaction to a few women partying on New Year's Eve. Where have we heard this before? Remember Benghazi? Remember when we were told by the National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, 5 Sunday talk shows, that what happened at Benghazi was a spontaneous reaction to a YouTube video? This same lie was tried, Angela Merkel tried to pass that over on the German people, but they're not buying it. Look at this. On the New Year's Eve, in the shadow of the Cologne Cathedral, crowds of North African and Middle Eastern men, is how they're going to say it here, accosted women for the night's festivities. They surrounded them, they groped them, they robbed them, and 2 women were even reportedly raped. Now, though there were similar incidents in Hamburg, Helsinki, the authorities at first played this down, the assaults. At least they prove inconvenient for Angela Merkel's immigration policy and asylum for these thousands, hundreds of thousands of refugees, despite the fact that the German people are saying no more. No. Same thing here in America. They're saying no more, no more, no more. The delay has now cost Cologne's police chief his job. The German government, and she's going to start firing these police chiefs. They're going to start getting rid of these superintendents. When the real burden of responsibility falls squarely on the shoulders of Angela Merkel. No, she's not a sister to Steve Urkel. No. But besides these police chiefs going to be fired, the underlying controversy here is not a new one. For decades, conservatives on both sides of the Atlantic have warned that the European generous immigration policies, often pursued in defiance of the ordinary European citizens, threatens to destabilize the continent of Europe. The conservatives have made important points about the difficulty of the assimilation, the threat of radicalization, and the likelihood of Paris-style and Cologne-style violence offenses on European cities. But they have also trafficked in more apocalyptic predictions, fears of a mass Islamofixation that were somewhat harder to credit until recently. Europe's assimilation challenge looks unpleasant, but not the insurmountable, and the likelihood of a chaotic situation that is developing there in Europe. This is what I'm trying to say. Anyone with common sense, this is the problem. This shows you a mental disorder of progressive thinking. Take no offense when I say this. It is a mental disorder to have progressive thinking or super socialistic thinking next to communism, liberalism. What it is, it says, we believe everybody will be happy. Lay down our guns. Let's all hold hands and give peace a chance. You can't make nice with the devil. You cannot appease evil and hope it goes away. It's not because a few rednecks living in the South won't accept dissimilation because of the simple fact they understand that certain cultures just can't mix. You cannot convince. Whose culture are you going to convince? Are you going to allow the immigrants that come into a nation? Do you want to allow their culture supersede the ones of the people already there? Or do you think that you can retrain them? Because we've already figured that out. You're not going to retrain radical Islam. We have bombed and fought for 20 years in the Middle East and tried to force Middle Eastern nations to be democracy, always coming back to the same point. It isn't in their DNA. And what I mean by that is it's not in their cultural concept. It's just not. And to accept it would be to deny their God. It will never happen. And oh, by the way, you're never going to convince the rednecks of the South. You're never going to convince the Christian community, the evangelicals, to assimilate with different gods. Because to do it, to accept these other cultures, to force their women to wear burqas, and that kind of Sharia law mentality would be denying our God. It's never going to happen. So this whole concept that we can all just dissimilate among each other and it will all work out. It will not work out. Clear boundaries and understandings and cultural respect has to be because people can live in their own space. Are you saved? Now, this is going to get really ugly. But this is part of the chaos. It don't matter how much the German people scream and cry about this. Angela Merkel is part of the New World Order. Angela Merkel is part of the New World Order. She is part of the Illuminati. And she's not the only one. There's a bunch of them. These secret societies, they are, look, folks, this is being built. This is a part of how the rise, this is a United Nations agenda called global sustainability. This is all part of the New World Order. And the things you see, even though it doesn't make sense to all of us, they're going to force it on the people anyway. They'll make lies and say that, well, we're going to take a look at this and we're going to fire a few police chiefs and we're going to re-look at it. The gates are wide open. The immigration, they're just pouring them in. They're not going to change. So you're living in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ. When I tell you, we can find it in the Bible. I have been reading it forever. That this is the chaos just before the hostile takeover of the world is what it will be, the New World Order. Then once the New World Order is fully in position, when the Illuminati fully in position, it's what George Washington feared the most for America. As he wrote in his final paper,